It's pronounced oh shit.
For this particular section of the project, we're going to learn how to open project from Splice, add arrangement markers, and use the edit tools in Logic Pro, and then how to share projects in Splice. For stage 1 of pre-production, we're going to arrange our beat using the song projects that I gave you in Splice. You're going to go to your Launchpad, scroll over until you see the Splice app. If you don't see it right away, just go to the search box, type in Splice. There's the app right there. So you're going to click on that. Once you open up the Splice app, you're going to click on the menu button and you want to select Studio. Once you're in Studio, you're going to go down to the one of the two songs that you shared with yourself. For right now, and I'm going to go to United Trapdom 6 and I'm going to hit open. Alright, it's going to begin downloading the files and opening up Logic Pro. Once Logic finally opens with your project, the first two things you're going to do is verify that the tempo and the key of the song are correct. And we do that by coming up here to our control display. So I can confirm that the tempo is 75, but the key of the song is supposed to be G minor. So we're going to click on C major and change that to G minor. So now if we are to add any more Apple loops, it won't clash, but it'll automatically conform to the current key of our song. Now that the tempo and the key of my song are correct, I'm going to add my arrangement markers. I'm going to come up here in my tracks area to the left of the ruler and click on this drop down arrow. Once I click down on that, the first rectangle says arrangement with a plus sign. I'm going to hit that plus sign and it's going to create an arrangement marker for my intro, which I want to be 4 bars. So I'm going to come to the bottom right corner of that box and click and drag it over to 4. Next, I'm going to hit the plus sign again to add my second arrangement marker, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to rename it to hook. And then lastly, I'm going to hit the plus sign to add my third arrangement marker, and I'm going to name this one verse. Now that I have my first arrangement markers for intro, hook, and verse, I want to begin using my edit tools so that I can start fleshing out my arrangement. First thing I want to do is click in the empty gray space in the tracks area, and I'm going to drag a rectangle box around all my files so that I can select them. Once I do that, I'm going to press the letter T to pull up my tools menu, and then I'm going to press I for the scissors tool. Now once I have the scissors tool selected, what I like to do is I like to divide each section of my audio regions into 1-bar loops. So I'm going to hold the option button. You see that adds a plus sign beside my scissors. Alright, I'm going to click and hold to make sure that I'm lined up right on the line between 1 and 2 to make sure it's one even bar. And when I let it go, it makes equal cuts of everything else. Alright, and that's the first step to arranging your beat. Now that I have my regions all split into 1-bar sections, I'm going to press T to go back to my tools window and press T again to select the pointer tool. I'm going to select all my regions again by drawing a box around it. I'm going to hold the option button and I'm going to click and drag to make a copy of it into my hook. I'm going to click and drag to copy it again. I'm going to select it all again. And then I'm going to hold the option button and click and drag over to my verse. So right now you see that my intro, my hook, and my verse look exactly the same. They're all made up of 1-bar sections of each sound, which sets us up for our last point, which is using the mute tool to make our song stand out and differentiate our intro from our hook from our verse. Now what I'm going to do is press the T button again, pull up my tools. I'm going to come down to the mute tool. The shortcut is the letter M. And now I'm going to go through each section of the song and take out the parts that I don't want to play. Now for me, I know that I don't like drums in my intro at all. So I'm going to go through on every drum sound, kick, snare, clap, any percussion, I'm going to mute all of those. So here's what it sounds like at first. And I'm just going to keep it playing as I'm making the changes. So you see it's starting to build up. I'm going to press the T, go back to my pointer tool. Now what I want, and all of this is based on what sounds good to you. Now I'm going to come over to my verse, and I'm going to begin stripping sounds away in my verse. I want my verse to have more sounds than my intro, but not as many as the hook. All right, I'm going to take these main synth sounds out for at least the first 4 bars. And I'm going to take out this second pad sound. All right, no bells. The last 2 steps. First, I need to color code my tracks. All right, and the way I like to color code them is based on what they have in common. All right, so if you look at the bottom, 808, clap, cymbal, hi-hats, all of these are my drum sounds. So I like all my drum sounds to be the same color. All right, so I'm going to select them all, highlight them, and I like my drums to be red. You can pick whatever color you want. All right, then we close that. The last step, we're going to click on our hook arrangement marker, hold the shift button, click on the verse to select both of them. And now what we're going to do is make a copy of this. Hold the option button, click, drag, and I just made a copy of my hook and my verse. Fast forward a little bit. All right, and that's an example of how you can arrange your beat using arrangement markers and edit tools in Logic Pro.